So South Beach Psychiatric Facility, it is 8/12/20.
Well, when they do the
About I don't know, 8:30. We're gonna do duct accessories. So this is a atypical fire smoke damper. This is one that's broken out of the duct. Pretty much this is how they're all gonna look. You might see a variation in the style of the motor. This happens to be a Belimo motor. You might see Honeywell motors. There's really no difference. They're all 120 volt motors. Yeah, so some are bigger than others. Like you'll see another Belimo, different style, but it's a Belimo. Some of the other ones in the shafts are Honeywells. They're all 120 volts. Basically, all this does is sit. It's a sleeve in a wall. They're always powered on in the activation of the fire alarm, whether it's through a test or through a fire smoke condition. The damper will lose power and it'll spring load closed. Inside this damper, there happens to be a primary reset and a high limit reset. You can see the scale where they trip, 212, 250, as is designated on the label. Right, so if you ever get a damper that's not open and has power, it could be that one of these temperature sensors went bad or tripped. You can reset these first. Okay, it's just in series with the power wiring. There is on this one here, if you look inside, which reports back to your fire alarm system. This is a position indicator. So if I was to loosen this thing up, based on where the damper is, it's either, it shows that it's being opened or closed.
Sorry, guys.
Really not much maintenance to do on these things. Every one of these should have an access door located at the device, so you can open it up, look inside to see that the damper is open or closed. So if there's trouble, you should get it back at your alarm panel. This one here has an access door. I mean, I'm using this one, showing you this one. It's very similar to this one. It has all your fire alarm relays, which is probably part of another training, but you'll be able to see that based on the indication of lighting at the local relay, you'll be able to see if it is tripped or not tripped. It'll also report back to your panel. Really not much more to these except having power to them, knowing that the power is there to drive the damper open. If it's not there, then it's probably at the relay. The addressable relay is a failure, it's wired wrong. Maybe the relay went bad, maybe it got wet, I don't know.
How many fire dampers we have in this building?
Throughout the building.
Over 500.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can walk a shaft and you can see a riser. So if we took air handler 1, for instance, as it rises up the shaft, there's 2 dampers, supply and return, 1 on each side of the corridor. And you can follow that straight up to 5. I mean, it's pretty typical. And in every location, you're going to have some kind of LED or indicator that the damper is there to show you that whether it's tripped, on, flashing, in service. It's probably not any different than any other dampers you have in any other building. I mean, there are some smoke dampers here, which are really, you'll see them maybe in the corridors between A and B, where it's a 1 hour wall.
This particular one
Yeah.
is a smoke damper.
That's a smoke. It's a 1 hour rated wall, where these are 2 hour, I would assume, 2 hour.
They're all the same size, or
No.
are they bigger or smaller?
They're various sizes.
Well,
You'll find dampers that are 12 by 24, 12 by 20, 10 by 8. There's, I mean, you name it, you got it. So pretty much all the motors would be interchangeable. There'd be no difference. That you could put any motor on any damper size. I don't think you have anything that's exceeding the torque rating of any motor. It just depends on what motor and what application you're putting it into.
Question is, how often we have to check these dampers?
I mean, usually that's up to the facility. When we do schools, they test their fire alarm system once. Well, some schools test it every day. How often they rotate these or exercise these per se is really up to your mandate. It's not If Ruskin has something out there, I wouldn't know, but usually it's up to the facility how often they want to exercise the damper and test them. Sometimes they just set the fire alarm off and don't trip the dampers. You know, they don't send anything into emergency. I mean, that would really be on you guys. I mean, we could send in the O&Ms that might say you should exercise them so often. I wouldn't know offhand.
Generally, it's safety department should take care of this service. It's not engineering.
Right.
I mean, do you do it in the other building? Do you exercise dampers?
No, the safety department.
Those guys, and what's the name of that company? Black Box or who's?
Simplex.
Oh, Simplex, Tyco, yeah. So
They do it.
a lot of times, like I said, in a lot of schools we do, they'll set the alarms off, but it doesn't put anything into alarms, so they're not tripping dampers per se. I'm quite sure there's mandates that say you have to exercise them, like FDNY stuff. I don't know if that applies to you. They probably do it every 3 months or
Those guys
something.
practically they every day on the site.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Those guys, that Simplex who is working with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, they
Now I believe now they belong also to GCI. GCI,
The
right?
GCI owns them, yeah.
Yeah, they
They actually every day here on the site.
Yeah, so
Apple guys here. They
that would really be up to the
constantly check.
facility and your guidelines. You want to look at a riser, just go up one and we'll look at a riser so you can kind of see where they are, because it's going to be atypical of every air handling unit. It's not going to be any different, you just got to find the unit.
in our buildings, another buildings, we have like a sign on a ceiling
Okay.
where it's like where the
That's what we're gonna show you.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's hit it right here.
Something like this. I think he was alluding to the fact, I mean, it's labeled, obviously you can see the damper, but if you look at, this is a good one, this is another fire smoke damper. It shows, this FSB 1-1 has a primary reset, secondary reset, all your fire alarm relays, right, all the power line that comes in underneath that red box with the relay, and then you got the addressable relay, which I'm quite sure the fire alarm guy will talk to you about in training. And then it gives a list of what was performed on a damper, like who inspected it, the annual space, you know, was the framing put around it, everything that needed to be completed before the damper was tested, and who tested it and who looked at it. So there's no damper in this building that hasn't been tested. Actually, he looked at all. Right here, Raph looked at all. So if you've got a problem with damper, tell us this guy right here.
Yes, that's actually that's a perfect one where I can really see the installation. Retaining angle, the access doors, the fire alarm units, it's all right there. Smoke detector, that's the duct detector you're looking at right there.
Yep. Well, we'll go up to the riser, and we'll track the riser, and we'll show you how they come out. This way you guys know if you lost air on the floor, you know exactly where to go, but that's exactly what it's going to be.
There's seismic restraints in the building. There's really no maintenance to perform on them. We're standing underneath a location you probably can't see up there because everything's painted black. But you'll see there's a little L bracket that's coming off of the threaded rod on the unistrut right here at this duct connection. That has a seismic airplane cable that goes up to the deck. There's 20 locations or so in this building that have these kind of applications where your trapeze strut is guided to the deck with airplane cable. There's nothing that you need to do on it. The duct just happens to be over a certain square footage that it is a requirement when you're in a category, I guess, C location or B location that this building falls under. There's really no maintenance that has to be performed. There's drawings that indicate where these are located. It's been checked by the manufacturer, they signed off on it, and just wanted to make that statement because it's in the spec, it talks about saying something about it.
Okay, so this will be a continuation of the fire smoke dampers. This is a typical application of where the dampers would be located. So this being air handler 1, this is basically behind us is the shaft. Okay, this is where the duct actually runs from the top down. We are on the second floor. In every location, they'll be on every drawing, on all the drawings that we have, they'll be marked, so when you guys get a copy, you'll be able to find them very easily. But fire smoke damper shows you access, duct detector, supply, air handler one. Over here, if we were to pop another tile, it would be the return duct, another fire smoke damper. Okay, so there's a smoke detector in each duct, and you'll see a relay package next to each damper. So here are the dampers against the wall. This is another Belimo style fire smoke damper, smoke detector, relay package. If I was to pop this tile, it'd be the same. And as we rode this up, if you were to walk out that door and walk up in the same location, this is gonna be the same configuration. It's gonna look exactly the same. If we were to go around to the other side, we see the duct coming out the other side of the corridor. All right, so this would be air handler 1, air handler 7 would be the same, 3, 8 would be the same. It probably only gets a little bit screwy when you get over to like air handler 2, where the duct starts to go multiple ways. But you know, we don't have to hit that location. You're gonna find them on a drawing.
And you're gonna notice that you're gonna see these plates with the smoke detector. So when you see that in the ceiling, you know there's a fire smoke damper. That's
So we got this air handler 1, we're on this, second floor. Let's just walk around so you guys can see the other
If it's,
side.
red light flashing, it's okay.
red light
Yes.
flashing is
When
good.
it's,
When it's red
fire
solid.
alarms, it's gonna be
Solid.
Solid red.
Yeah. Yep.
And again, so AHU1, right? This is the shaft we're standing in, just for ductwork conversation. It exits and enters the shaft on this side of the corridor, that side of the corridor. AHU1 services the 2nd through the 5th floor. All these bedrooms and seclusion rooms, whatever these rooms are around the perimeter. So the duct comes out of the shaft here. There's VAV boxes. All the VAV boxes are located within the corridor in drop ceiling areas. There's very few of them that you have to access through sheetrock. If you see a sheetrock access door, like something right there,
Yes, maybe.
that you could think that maybe it's a VAV. Those happen to be valves. There's actually isolation valves in that location. But there are a few that there's an access door and there's a VAV. 99% of them are in drop ceilings, okay? So what comes out of the shaft this way services this corridor. What comes out of the shaft, we'll walk around. It's just like a mirror image. What comes out of the shaft on this side services this corridor. Okay?
Yeah, so basically the duct is traveling down and breaking out in 4 spots. Return, supply,
This is
supply.
AHU1, right?
That's it. There's no
And from
grade.
the 2nd to 5th floor, right?
2nd to 5th floor. Correct.
Yep.
But the plate on the ceiling, it means another fire damper.
Correct. Exactly. So when you see those plates, supply and return, and they're tagged on there with that red P-Touch label. It says supply AHU1, return AHU1.
Right.
And I'm assuming that those, it's duct detector M947, so that must be that address number of that device.
Yeah. Like this one happens to be a duct detector for an exhaust fan. So, getting into that, these should be at every location. There's a duct detector. How he addressed them at his panel, that's the number I don't know. When it goes off, if you see that, that's going to be on him when he trains you. So, air handler 1, air handler 7, the same thing. It's built the same way, just facing a different direction.
Right. So
We could
come
take a
over
quick
here.
walk over there.
And every one of these floors is in essence the same. The 5th floor, the ductwork's a little bigger, where it maybe doesn't come down in a shaft and it runs across the ceiling. But for the most part, every floor is the same. It's like a copy and paste, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the way the duct is run down here is the way it's run on every floor. It's very, very similar.
Simple.
Yeah, simple.
Right, so you had an air handler 1, this happens to be air handler 7, just different face, a different direction. Once again, the shaft wall is right behind us, 5 down, 5 down to 2. There's 2 dampers here. If we were to go onto the other side, there'd be 2 dampers there. We went out to air handler 3 or 8, it would be the same thing. It's all built the same. The only one that's gonna be, only ones that are gonna be a little different is air handler 2, air handler 5 and 6 are having to be on that interconnecting roof. But, you know, those are all it's pretty one level. You know, you find them on a drawing, you highlight them, you know exactly where they are, you know. Pretty much, I would say that these are all the same style. You might find a couple different motors, different motor styles, maybe Honeywell, it depends maybe on the size of the duct. But should be no great
But on the basic,
changes there.
on the basic, it looks like we're very similar to every side.
Yep, yeah, no different, no different. With a set of drawings, you guys would just walk up, you'd be like, you wouldn't even need them. Once you now that you know where they are, you just go to that same location, you see the detector, you pop the thing, it's right there. Open the door, you look inside of it. Anything else, guys? Any other questions? I mean, as far as locations, service?
No question. No question.
All right. I mean, I'm quite sure you're familiar with them, I just, that's it.
They only have. So we're still in the A wing, the opposite wing on the floor. This is AHU 7. Same thing. It feeds from the 2nd floor to the 5th floor. So AHU 1 and 7 are kind of unique in that way because they're from 2 to 5. Because you have air handlers 5 and 6, which kind of handle that whole service corridor and all the rooms that interconnect CSB into the NRB building. So you have 2 separate air handlers that service that 1st floor area. That's why this unit doesn't
And number
go
1
down
and
to
number
1.
7, 2 of that, where they are located physically?
On the roof.
On which one? That
On
which
this
is-
roof, they're right above us. So when you go, if you follow this shaft line up, 7's
You mean
right above us.
On a high roof, not between the 2 buildings?
Correct, on the
Okay.
high roof.
Okay.
On the high roof. So when you look at this thing in a plan view, if you were up on the roof right now, you'd be leaning against the dunnage that AHU 7
Okay.
is located on. If you were in that wing, that's the dunnage for AHU 1, that's where AHU 1 serves. Again, it's just VAV boxes with hot water coils everywhere. So you're discharging some temperature air, let's say 55 degrees, and any kind of reheating that you need to do in a particular space is going to be done through the reheat coil on the VAV box. We're going to go up on and look at some exhaust fans and talk about them during today's training as well. The TXs are similar in numbering as well. So that's TX1 and TX7. They kind of match the numbers of the units. It's not like that everywhere, but here it is. Same situation, those come down the same shafts and they branch out. TX1 does the toilet exhaust of that space. TX7 does the toilet exhaust of that wing.
What T means?
Toilet, TX,
okay,
toilet
that
exhaust.
is only for toilet.
Only for toilet, okay? So you have TX fans, which are toilet exhaust fans. You have GX fans, which are general exhaust fans. The general exhaust fans are inclusive of like laundry. So when you look down this corridor, there's a laundry room over here. You have 2 separate exhaust fans. You have a general exhaust fan that just serves the laundry room itself. There's a grill in the laundry room, exhaust the room, and then you have a fan that's connected to the dryers. Those fans operate on their own based on demand. So those fans will modulate based on how many dryers are running, how many aren't running. So they'll just ramp up and down based on the connected load of the dryers. There's a static pressure sensor in the ducts down here, and that's what controls those fans. So you have TX, toilet exhaust, GX, general exhaust, which is basically laundry, a salon, stuff like that, where they have general exhaust. Pharmacy area. And coincidentally, TX1 is AHU1, same TX7, AHU7. It just happened to work out that it is that way in this area, and a couple others as well. Okay?
Ready? Okay, so this is another area where there are 5 smoke dampers located. We can see them up here. There's 1, 2, 3 of them. They do all have the tag of the damper designation, FSD-2-18, 2 standing for the floor, 18 standing for just how they're numbered. Access doors to see the damper. Once again, these look like all the Belimo style fire smoke dampers and all your relay packages. And if you go up top, you see the smoke detector status lights, right? So this is a good indicator to find out what you're looking at too, because at least you know that whatever this is tied into is the ductwork that's associated with, and you can figure out kind of what you're looking at. And if there's a problem with the damper, you talk to Raph, because he looked at them. I can see his name on there. So
This is also, this is air handler 2 now. Air handler 2, this is shaft 3. All the fire smoke dampers that come out of this shaft are around this entire shaft, okay? AHU2 serves from the first floor all the way through the 5th floor, okay? The reason being is there's no unit that's serving below where we're standing, okay? So this goes all the way down to 1. AHU2 serves all of the administrative areas across behind the elevators and all of these dining areas, okay? As far as exhaust is concerned, this is another system that TX2 matches kind of AHU2. TX2 sits up in the same location that Air Handler 2 sits. Same thing, it comes all the way down. It does all the toilets that are around the facility, around this common core area. It also does a couple of the linen rooms and the storage rooms. They're all kind of tied to the same toilet exhaust system. You also have a general exhaust system, GX1, which does all of these pantries. So you have this little pantry right here. There's an exhaust grill in it. On each floor you have that situation. That's a GX. It's a pantry exhaust, general exhaust. Same thing, that fan sits directly behind AHU2. So when we're up on the roof doing the fans, we'll kind of breeze through again with the air handlers and the fans. We'll associate them with the wing and just to help keep reiterating the same point to familiarize yourself. So AHU2 does this whole core area, okay? Basically all common space, administrative space, where they're gonna be having, dining and stuff like that. No bedrooms. It doesn't service bedrooms and stuff. It's more of a public area.
So continuation of the fire smoke dampers. I'm not gonna beat this to death because I think you guys got it, but air handler 3, we did 1, 7, 2, 3, 8. So this is really a mirror image of 1 and 7, just facing a different direction. But fire smoke dampers, supply return, here's your status lights for your duct detectors. If we were to continue on to the other side of this wall, which we'll just walk around, it'll be the same thing, right? And this is floor 2, this is the bottom of this riser. So this riser sits behind us, in between 2 to 5. We'll just walk around, I'll show you the other side, then we'll look at 8, and that would really be the remainder, 2 to 5. Once again, you can see what you're looking at based on the detector, but if you pop the tiles, you're gonna see what you saw over there. You're gonna see access door, relay package, fire smoke damper access, So 3, and then we'll take a quick walk this way. I'm walking too fast for you, let me know.
Oh, TX3.
TX3, sorry. There is an exhaust fan over here, TX3, same thing. Toilet exhaust does these 4, I think there's 4 bathrooms here, 2 and 2. So on the as-built, it'll make sense to you, you'll see it, and you'll see any dampers that are associated with it.
Same thing, you have general exhaust for a laundry room and dryers. So each wing has 1 set of dryers. But you do have it in this area. So they will have their laundry stuff over here. Same thing, GX, I forget the numbers, we'll see up on the roof. You have GX fans for that. TX3 matches. TX4 is AHU8 area. So that's where you lose the numbering, right here.
Two, yeah. If you have a look, you can look at any number of the doors and
first over 2,000 before.
So air handler 8, this would be air handler 8, 2 to 5, same thing. Shaft is directly behind us. You see the duct detectors once again. Fire smoke dampers will be, your pop a tile, they're gonna be right here. You'll see them on the as-bills. No different than any other damper in this building. If we walk around the outside, I don't know if we really need to, walk around the other side, be the same set of dampers, right? So they all come up and they just branch out, 2 and 2, all the way up to 5. There are fans associated with these bathrooms. Like he said, he believes it's TX4. I believe he's right. That would really be it. I mean, there's no, so 1, 7, 3, and 8, you know, once you got that down pat, it's very simple. You figure it out in no time at all. 2, you might need a little bit of drawings to walk around and find some of these fire smokes, just because it doesn't go, comes out of the shaft and starts breaking different ways. Any questions, guys?
Shaft is inside,
Yep.
inside the wall.
Yep.
No access door, no nothing.
Nope. Everything comes out of the shaft and that's it. I mean, it's a fire rated wall, so. But everything is accessible, you know?
As far as the access, everything in this building is accessible through the ceiling tiles. There is just one exception on both wings on that portion of the corridor, so that would be corridor 500 and corridor 100, where you'd need to access not only the tile, but there is also access door in the wall to get to the duct detector and all the modules. Manny knows about it, Manny's aware, but if Manny's not here, you guys know it too. That fire smoke damper is inside of the closet, up through the tile, and the duct detectors are in a separate location.
Ready? Okay. So these are your exhaust fans, obviously. Majority of the exhaust fans are located on this upper roof. They're all belt-driven fans. They're all on ABB VFDs, which
direct drive or belt?
belts.
Belt.
They're all belt-driven. So the only ones that would be direct drive would be the NRB dry exhaust fans, which is it's really just pulling through the exhaust on the dryer. Once again, all belt driven, all up blast. You don't have any down blast. They're all pretty similar, just different in size and horsepower. They all have a local service disconnect. They're all tagged. We tagged them with a P-touch, and an electrician came by, tagged them with the panel designation, the fan designation, and what size and what phase, okay? All the drives for these fans on the B side, they all wind up in the electrical room, all the drives. They're all tagged. They correlate with the fan. And on the A side, they're in the 5th floor electrical room. They correlate with the fans on the A side. There are 3 fans on that upper bulkhead. You can see 1, 2, 3. Those would be the highest location fans, except for the 2 EPF fans. We'll go look at those in a little bit, or we'll look at least one of them, which feed the elevator shafts, okay? Those 2 drives wind up in the middle. When we walk by, we can check them out. Inside each one of these fans, so you got the curb, you got like a extension curb, a curb, an adapter curb to get to the extension curb. On each fan, you'll notice this access door can be removed because there is a motorized damper in here. So when the drive calls to be on, damper drives, there's a little whisker switch in there. The blade hits the whisker switch, the drive starts. All right, I think most of your fans would run 24/7 regardless, so you probably should never see those dampers shut unless you shut them down and do maintenance, or there's an issue with the fan. You know, you'd have to go to the drive and see what's going on with the drive. Was it commanded on? We can take a look at that on the 5th floor where the drives are. Was it commanded on by Johnson? What speed was it set at? All those speeds that the drives are set at was set by the balancer. So after he measured them, we put a speed in, and he's going to send the command to start it, and he's going to put a speed command. If you get a fault, it'd be at the drive. If you were to turn one of these drives off, just for your own knowledge, and you go to turn it back on, it might not restart because you might get a fault at the drive because the drive doesn't see a load. So you might have to go down and reset the drive. Local disconnect, shut it off. I don't think any of them are fused. 3-phase in, 3-phase out.
Just disconnector.
Right?
Just disconnector. Yeah.
So obviously if you're going to work on the fan, you'd want to disconnect it here, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you can go to the drive, but this is a service disconnect. That's what it's made for,
Exactly.
right? So that's why it's here. Each one of these fans has a cap with these little spring-loaded clips on it. Right? A little hard to see, but you're going to take the cap off, and there's your motor, your 2 bearings, belt. This is an idler pulley, so this is a tensioner pulley, right? So when you change the belt, we do have another set of belts on site, replacement belts. I mean, your guys have been doing some, or the guy that does some of that building has been doing some of the maintenance during the COVID thing. We have 2 bearings, little block bearings in here with grease fittings. All right. Some of these motors are greasable, some of them are sealed. It's a case by case scenario.
How often supposed to be greased?
It would be based on hours. So if they're running 24/7, don't quote me on this, but you know you're probably doing it monthly. You know, something like that. I mean, if you did the hours. When we do the training in the room for like the as-builts, I'll make sure that we have the O&Ms. And we'll highlight the hours. I mean, most bearings are greased on runtime. So we'd have to figure out the runtime hours, but these running 24/7, I would say you got to be checking them monthly at least, because you'd be checking the belts also. All the data on these fans, I mean, them being tagged at the disconnect, but on every one of these fans there is a model, serial number. I'll give you this one right here because it's kind of easy to see. But it tells you the manufacturer, it tells you the voltage, the phase, tells you what kind of enclosure it is, the horsepower, the model, serial number. So if you ever did need parts or what have you after the fact, you could go to these people and give them this model serial number and they would have a breakdown of every part in this fan. Other than that, you would just have to know on a drawing what fan serves what. And like Mike said before, you know, 1, 2, and 3 kind of match the units. 4 doesn't, number-wise. It's just the way they ordered, you know, labeled the fans. But every fan on an as-built, we'd be able to tell exactly what it does. Toilet exhaust, and I guess it's a general exhaust. Right. So this does one grill in the laundry room all the way down, where this does multiple bathrooms. All belt driven, like you said. So you know what? We'll take the only different fan you're going to see up here is a dryer exhaust, which we'll go look at. That will be the only direct drive fan, which is right around the corner. So once again, cap goes on, spring-loaded clips. Just make sure you catch the ridge, obviously, because if you leave 1 or 2 of them off and the wind comes, it'll fling them right off. Disconnect. Make sure your fingers aren't in there. So this one did start. Like I said, sometimes when they're on a drive and you slow them down or you stop them quickly, you'll get a fault at the drive just because it saw the loss of a load. You go downstairs, you hit the reset, or just restart. It doesn't happen all the time. Another tag to show this fan. So, and here's the number. But let's go look at a general a dryer exhaust, because that's really going to be the only fan that's different that maybe you guys haven't seen before. Okay. So this is probably a fan maybe you haven't seen. This is an NRB. This comes from the NRB Corporation. This is a direct drive fan. These fans are basically tied into every dryer that you have in this bank, in this wing. So as you go down the riser, there's a piece of round pipe that comes over and down breaks out of the shaft. It's like the ductwork does, and it picks up each one of these dryers individually. All right. There is a pressure transmitter at the base of the run, so it knows as more dryers are online, it knows that it maybe needs more airflow, and it'll speed this fan up based on the pressure transmitter reading, which goes back to like a head-end controller, which I'll show you in the closet. To get to this fan, to access it, you got 2 Allen keys here, 2 Allen key bolts that run through the top. Once again, you shut the disconnect off, this thing just picks up and is hinged. So on the other side of this thing is just the flywheel, it's just the wheel, it's direct drive, bolted right to the shaft. All right, so this is a modulating motor. This duct you see on the outside is just the exhaust for the fan. So as it pulls it out of the rooms, it's dumping it onto the roof. The speed is changing based on the load in the building. So if everybody's drying their socks, the thing's probably sped up a little bit. Really not much you have to do with these. There's no greasing or oiling of these motors. They are sealed motors. You know, if you'd like to open them up every once in a while, shut them off, look at the wheel to make sure there's no lint or anything on them. You wouldn't really get that to this point, but you know, you want to make sure the wheel's clean. It's an aluminum wheel. So you want to make sure it's clean so you're getting the performance out of the fan. There's 1, 2, 3 of these fans. There's one on the other side we'll go take a look at, and then there's one on the lower roof, interconnecting. It looks a little bit different than this, but basically from the same corporation, direct drive, modulating motor. You want to walk through and take a look at it like an EPF, and then we'll go look at some where the drives are, and then I think we kind of covered it. And then whatever you guys have questions with, we can answer, and whatever comes back, pops into your brain over time, we can answer that too. So that's an elevator pressurization fan, which is pressurizing the room where the service elevator equipment is in. All right. When we go through this corridor and we go down, there's another fan, a bigger fan that actually pressurizes the whole shaft from 5 down right down to the lowest level. All right. So that one really is taking fresh air in and pressurizing the room itself, and then the other one that's on the ground is getting blown into the shaft and pressurizing the shaft. In case there is a fire, it keeps the smoke out of the elevator, right? Once again, those are set by the balance of the speed. And I believe, I'm not sure if that's an auto thing, they're in auto, or if the fireman keys that. I guess it is an auto. That would be more of a fire alarm question. But I'm assuming in a fire that those things just go on and that's it, and they pressurize the shaft.
Elevator fans he's talking about?
Is that keyed, or did that just go on automatically?
No, it goes on automatic.
Okay, so in case of a fire condition, that fan starts, pressurizes the room. The fan on the ground, which we'll walk by, is a lot larger because it's pressurizing 5, 6 stories basically, maybe more, of the shaft and all the way down. It just keeps smoke out of the elevator, right? We'll go look at them. We can walk by the drives. 3 fans up there that serve that air handler 2 area we're talking about, that cafeteria area, that office area, those bathrooms that when you come out, all the same style though, up blast fans, all tagged with what they are. So on a drawing, you'll be able to say, oh, this is GX4, this is GX2, whatever it is, all belt driven. Those fans are no different than those fans. All right, you got pillow block, greasable bearings. All of them have the damper with the access door, and the damper drives, the fan starts. I don't see any of those really ever being shut off. So unless you have somebody servicing them, or you have a power failure or a fire alarm, that's the only time they are going to shut off.
Just looking over here in a wide perspective, it's like this on all the wings of the roof. Your air handler unit number 3, your TX number 3, your GX number 3. The reason why you have the GX and the dryer exhaust is because that's the wing that has the laundry. If you see over here, you just have the TX fan, because that wing only has the toilets. It's the same thing on the A side. You got the 7 unit that sits off on this wing. Walk around there, you have the dryer room, you have the dryer fans, and the laundry fans. If you look up there, TX2 is the closest fan to us. You have GX1, which does the pantry that we were talking about, and then the other GX fan that's up there does the nail salon down on the first floor. It's just a home run all the way down to the nail salon or whatever the salon is, and that's what that other fan is. But so you're typically going to see it just like that. One exhaust fan, one air handler, exhaust fan, general exhaust fan, dryer fan, air handler, and it's like that on all these wings. Even that, you just don't have dryers. If you come over to the edge of the building, he likes the edge. You have a couple of exhaust fans down on that lower roof. All right?
I'll catch it, I'll grab it.
So you have 3 fans right there in that lower roof. One of them's toilet, one of them does a break room, and one of them just is general exhaust. I think there might be a salon or something over there that does. And then underneath, where that's AHU4 down there, there's that door right there. There's a couple of inline fans in that attic space. There's a dryer fan, there's a general exhaust fan, and there's a toilet exhaust fan that are hanging in that attic space. Those are inline fans, so they're a little bit different than these uplasts. But it's the same thing. They're the same system they're exhausting.
Right, so those fans there, there's the 3 fans in there. The drives are in that location, under that canopy. When you walk through that door, that's where your physical drives are, and that's where the dryer controls are. And like Mike said, the only difference is those are ducted inline fans. They pull from the space, and they duct out the front of the building through a louver. So they're belt-driven, ducted fans, whatever, 14 by 14 with duct on them. All right, those 3 fans over there just do that area. Those fans are no different than any one of these fans. The only difference in these fans is the horsepower. All right, so we're looking at this side of the roof. There's really no difference. You've got toilet exhaust, general exhaust, once again, same style fans, belt-driven, greasable bearings, damper inside behind the access door in the extension curb. This would be really the only exception. This is GX11, I believe. GX11, this serves the pharmacy. This is a different style fan. The only different thing about this one is the style, right? It's got a damper that's built in on top, a barometric damper, so when the fan runs, it pushes the damper open, disconnect, shut it off. This fan is constant, a fixed speed though. It's on a starter, it's not on a drive. The starter is in where the drives are, all right? Just a regular HOA starter. Shut it off, pop the cover, it's a motor with a belt. Once again, greasable bearings, motor, belt. It's just got a stack on the top of it. No different. You want to work on it, shut it off, right? It's tagged. You got some more exhaust fans there, some more there. I'm not sure on the numbers on all of them, but they're going to be toilet exhaust, general exhausts. This fan over here is another dryer fan, because in this bank, in this wing, you have a set of dryers in the dryer room, washer dryer room. Same thing, goes from here down to 2. It's just a riser, transmitter on the 2nd or 3rd floor. I don't remember totally where it is, but that transmitter is what it's using to drive the fan speed up and down. We'll take a look at that control when we go in, where it is. Let's just take a walk around. So we saw that EPF fan that feeds the fresh air into the actual elevator machine room, right? Now you have this one over here. Much bigger horsepower, bigger fan, because it's feeding basically.
It's also for elevator.
Yeah, so basically it's pushing air into the top of the shaft on top of the elevators and forcing it downward. All right, it's just an open duct that goes into the shaft. It's not like it's ducted all the way down, but it pressurizes the shaft. You do have a damper at each one of these fans, so once again, when there's a call for the fan, the damper would open, the fan would start. So there is no backdraft or anything like that. It's just
not like a constant run. That one, no, right?
No, it would only go on in a fire or a test application. So a fire condition, it would be on, or if you would want to test it, exercise it, that's the only time it will go on. So it's really a utility set fan. I mean, that's the only difference. Those are uplast. That would be what you call a utility set fan. If you were to take the 4 bolts off the that silver cover, you'd pull it off, there'd be a motor there with 2 belts, right? A shiv and a pulley, greasable bearings. Not much else to it besides once you see where that duct blows in, that's what it's doing. It's a piece of duct in a shaft that's blowing into a shaft. Local disconnect. I can show you guys where the frequency drives are so you know for those 2 fans, because those are commanded on by the fire alarm system. I would say that's pretty much typical of any fans you have on this job. All right. Yeah, ready? All right. So we talked about all these fans being on drives. Most of the drives are in the 5th floor A electrical room or 5th floor B electrical room. These 2 elevated pressurization fans, that's what the EPF, the acronym stands for, 1 and 2. 1 being the bigger one that pressurizes the shaft, 2 being the smaller one that pressurizes the room. You leave these on, you leave them in auto, fire condition, they send a signal, they start the drive. That's it. They pressurize the room, they pressurize the shaft. And it keeps, smoke out of the room, and it keeps smoke out of the shaft. These were all set by we read these out, so they don't run, you're not gonna see them run to 60 hertz. You're gonna see some other number. I'm not sure exactly what the number is, but when they start, you're not gonna see them go up to full speed, because at full speed, it's like a hurricane in there. So they oversize them and then you scale them back on the drive just to get it positive. Local disconnects. I'm not going to get into the drives too much, but that's what those 2 elevated pressurization fans. This is where the controls are, the drives are. We can hit the 5th floor. I can show you the other ones. I can show you the drive controls, and I think that's pretty much we covered it. All right. So, like I said, all the drives for the upper roof, besides the 2 EPF fans, reside electrical room building B or electrical room building A. So these are all your fans that we just kind of walked through on the roof. They're all tagged. We have them all in hand right now because the Johnson guy, he's going to, we're going to give him the speed set by the balancer, and he's going to command them on through the software. All right. But in any event, if for some reason he didn't have them on, you could obviously go up to him and put them in the hand and ramp them up and down. I'm not going to get into the drives, but so these are all the drives that are located for all your fans. Okay. This one you see that's different. This is that dry exhaust that I showed you. That was kind of a lay down one that it flips up, right? Had the motor built on top.
How many we have fan like that?
What's that?
How many fan like that we have? It's never right.
You have how many like that?
Right.
Yeah, you got 1, 2,
Oh, 3.
3.
The one in the attic.
All right, so you have 3 of these that look like this, right? 1 attic over there, and we'll go to the other electrical room. There's another one like this. Now this drive correlates with this controller. So basically what happens, this controller, they send power to it. They send a 3-wire out to a transmitter that's in the duct. It sees pressure, it sees a drop in pressure. Transmitter says I need more, sends a signal to the drive ramps up and down based on a set point that the dry guy sets based on his calculation of the floor heights. All right, so that's why this is different. Other than that, all your drives are ABB drives, and they're all tagged. So I think we should just go to the other side, we'll look at those, and then I'll show you where the ones are downstairs, and then that's, at least you know where everything is. A-wing, 5th floor electrical room, same thing. These are where all your drives are. Okay, so there's no, you're not looking around for anything really. It's A and B. So these are all the drives on the roof, all the fans on the roof. 9, 1, 7, and this would be the other dryer exhaust. All right, which is that funny looking fan. The only other one, like I told you guys before, that was different was that fume hood style one. This is GX11. You know, it has that.
This is for pharmacy, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So just a starter.
And it's a constant speed.
Yes, yes.
The voltage?
That's the hertz.
Hertz?
It's probably the voltage, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the voltage, yeah. GX10, the dryer fan, is associated with this dryer exhaust control. I guess one day we'll get into these a little bit more. But once again, it does that wing. There's a round pipe, you know, it's probably 12, 14 inch round. It goes all the way down and they tap off it with these 4 or 5 inch ducts and it feeds the dryers. As the, you know, pressure decreases in the system, this thing starts to speed it up and get more exhaust. This is where everything is located. You know, there's really not, I mean, you see the difference in color, so you know that purplish color or whatever that color is, that's all low voltage in there, right? And he's high voltage back here. So when you see that color, you know, if you're looking for some low voltage wires, that's probably where they are, you know? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be all it, but that's a good indication of the seismic, what it looks like, those cables. So when he was talking about the seismic before, that's exactly how it is. Ours are a little different. We use like the gripples where you run them through and then they hit 2 spots and they grab. It's just a different brand, but that's a seismic application right there with the cables. There's nothing that you do for it. It's just if it's over a certain weight or a certain height, they make you put them on. That's it. And it's not everywhere. You know, you're not going to see it on small pieces of duct like this. It's only when it gets above like 30 inches or something like that. So, I just wanted to show you guys where these are, so now you know those 3 fans that we look over the roof down onto that low roof, these are where those drives are. And the hatch to get up onto that roof is in that janitor's closet behind where you kind of walk in. Alright, so no different than any other drives you have in the building. They send a command to run it, and it runs to the speed that's set by the balancer. These are general exhaust. One's a break room, one's like a pantry, and then the other one, TX, is always stands for toilet exhaust. So basically, A, B, 5th floor, because your 2 sides of your high roof and the bulkhead roof. The 2 drives for the EPFs are in that storage room where the filters are. This lower roof, these 3 drives. And the only other drives, we don't have to go up there, but I'll walk you over to where the hatch is, because I don't know if you guys know where it is. In that air handler 4 area, under that canopy, is where there's 2 inline fans and a dryer fan. So we'll just walk over there real quick. Yeah, so this area is the one we were looking down with that shed roof. You know, you see the one air handler sitting by itself. That's air handler 4. It serves this whole area. Everything back through here. There's, like I said, there's 3 fans up there. All right, so 1 fan is general exhaust for the laundry room. 1 fan is toilet exhaust for these 4 bathrooms. And there's a dryer exhaust fan. All right. To get up there, I don't know if you guys know this. Maybe you do, maybe you don't.
That's the ladder, Mr. D.
But this would take you, this room, this ladder, would take you up there.
Make
This
sure
takes
you-
you up, this
Make
takes you up
sure
to the
you tell
roof.
Phil how to get up on the roof.
Wow.
So that takes you up, and once you get out, you'd be looking straight at air handler 4, and then there's a doorway that brings you into the, underneath that roof.
That'll be nice to carry tools up there, right?
Що сюди не залізь? Він саме левий трохи, але
You gotta get a bucket, you gotta get a milk crate and a rope. Milk crate and a rope,
Yep.
and a pulley, big pulley. But that's it. I mean, the only 2 fans we did not physically put eyes on, or 3 fans, is if you would go into that, get up, when you walk on that roof, you're staring at the air handler, there's that little door you saw, and you walk into that attic. I mean, you can walk, it's full height. I mean, it's probably 8, 10 feet. And there's 2 inline fans in there and another dryer exhaust fan. So you kind of know where everything is. That's it. Any questions, guys? Anything